Ну что, заходим на тур. Такой вход невзрачный, да? Оль, мокрые доски, осторожно, пожалуйста. А вода не очень чистая. Да и доски очень скользкие, да?
Да.
А то сейчас искупаемся. Нырнем. Я просто думаю, знаешь что, я сомневаюсь насчет того, что будет наверху. Сейчас, если дождь пойдет, мы намокнем уже. Может, сядем, или ты все-таки хочешь быть наверху?
Ну, я не знаю, дождь начинается.
Вот зонты в машине вообще, надо было взять хотя бы.
Сверха, конечно, нет.
Ну, пойдем наверх, ладно. Ну, начнется дождь, значит намокнем.
А можно мне будет время?
Ну, я думаю, что да. На, покажи билет.
Не наверх садятся.
Да и мы наверх пойдем. Видишь, нет с собой никаких напитков. Ну что, мы сели. Надеемся, что все-таки нас не польет дождем сильно, да?
Билеты не проверял никто даже.
Да?
Да.
То есть вообще не проверяли билеты?
Ну, я не показывала, не помню, что я кому-то показывала.
Странно.
Поэтому они могут спокойно завтра прийти, наши друзья, и мы можем посадить их.
Ну, не знаю, посмотрим.
Билеты здесь есть.
Да.
As far as our architecture goes, we're not going to see anything from before 1871.
Что,
First
начало?
architectural style that we're going to be looking at comes in the city between 1880 and 1890. And this
Вот
is what's
еще одни.
called the Chicago school style. The difference between a tall building and a skyscraper is the type of construction that you use to make it. So you can have a stone masonry building, those are pretty tall. You actually go to an offer from IIT. He becomes the dean at our Illinois Institute of Technology, develops a whole campus, goes on to teach all of his students this international modernist style. His mantra was less is more. What a Mies van der Rohe building's going to look like is your typical black box skyscraper. One design. It just keeps going up in our city over and over and over for 25 years. We have black boxes going on in our city. By the mid-70s, where we finally say we are sick of seeing black boxes. This leads us into postmodernism, the style of architecture that we are currently in today. Because postmodernism is a rejection against that international modernist style, oftentimes the buildings are going to be heavily modulated. So you have a lot of curving elements to them, very articulated. But one component within postmodernism is an idea called contextualism. Within this concept, you can no longer design a building, put that design up anywhere in the world. You have to design a building for the specific location the building is going up in. It needs to fit into its environment. This means to design the building, it could reflect the other buildings that are around it, it could reflect the nature, the lake or the river, but it needs to fit into context. So our 5 architectural styles that we're going to be looking at on the tour today are the Chicago school style, neoclassical or Beaux-Arts, Art Deco, international modernism, and postmodernism. I'm going to give you guys a quiz at the end of the tour. You don't pass that quiz, you just stand for the next one until you get it right. How's that sound? Well, for the most part on this tour, we're going to be focusing our attention to the right side of the river. So the tan building off to your right, step back just a little bit, at the top of which is a pyramid. On the tip of that pyramid is an aluminum statue. This is the Chicago Board of Trade, 1929, the Halburn Rut. At the time that building was constructed, that was the tallest building in the city of Chicago, 1929. That statue that we're seeing on the top, that's of the Roman goddess Ceres, the goddess for grain, where you get your word cereal from. The sculptor who made that statue never put a face on Ceres. The tallest building in Chicago, who's the most a face or not? Only I know of Sears Tower at 311, looking down on her shortly after. That is probably the best example of that Art Deco style. All the setbacks, all the ornamentation, everything is drawing your eye up towards the top of the building. The series up there was lit up red the entire month of July for the anniversary of the Special Olympics. Our Board of Trade here, one of the last trading facilities to have that open market trading. We just shut that down about 2 years ago now. Well, the next one I'm going to put out to your right is actually going to be a hard right. So this is our Eisenhower Expressway. We're going to follow the expressway way back into the distance. Tan building is really skinny vertical window, so up now. So hard right, go way back there. Tan building, really skinny vertical window. So get a little peek in there. We'll see if there's some of those trees. Everyone got a glimpse of that one? This is where the governors of the city of Chicago go to retire. That is our federal correctional facility. 4 out of the last 7 spent some time there. Well, because our prison is in the middle of our downtown heart of Chicago, we don't want it to look like a prison. So the maximum width that you can have for those windows before you have to start putting the bars in there is 4 inches. About 10 years ago, 2 people escaped from that 4 inches. How they got their head through the 4 inches, I have no idea. They tied up sheets, they climbed down, they hopped on the metro, they took it out to the suburb that I grew up in. There's FBI all over the place right away. But how they got through that 4 inches, I have no idea. Next, going off to our right-hand side here, just recently out of this brand new mural on our riverside, what you're looking at is a map of the Chicago River. See that red rectangle? I was like, you are here. That's the replacement along the river.
Красная точка, это значит, где ты находишься.
Next one, we're talking about Sears Tower. See a short silver building off to your right? Once we get to the north side of that short silver building, you are going to floor all the way to the top view of the Sears Tower. So if you have your cameras, have them ready. It's a really nice shot as we're looking up. While you're looking up, you're also going to notice there are 4 glass balconies that are hanging off of their observation deck. Sears Tower, one of the last buildings built in that international modernist style, 1974, by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. When you design a building, there are actually 2 different types of wind that you have to worry about. There's the wind that goes on the side of the building, that's called wind load, and then the wind that comes down on top of the building, that one's wind shear. The structural engineer for the Sears Tower was Fazlur Khan. The way he designed that building, it's actually 9 tubes that are all bound together. Each one of these tubes drops off at a crucial height, so the 50th, 66th, 90th, and 110th floors for the drop-off of these tubes. What this does is it actually uses the wind to help hold up the building as opposed to working against it. Sears Tower is meant to bend before it breaks. Very top of that building, on an extremely windy day, 3 feet is the distance that building is going to sway. So if you're using the facilities at the very top, things get a little bit tricky. So you have to be very careful. I call that building the Sears Tower. I'm from Chicago. I will always call that building the Sears Tower. The official name of that building is actually the Willis Tower. Reason being, after 9/11 happens, many of the tenants of the Sears Tower are afraid that building is going to be their target. So now you have all these companies that start leaving, they're finding their office space somewhere else. All this vacant space starts to accrue on the inside of the building. So an insurance company by the name of Willis comes in, says I'll rent out all that vacant space on a long-term lease. But you then have to read it, building after me. Willis never owned the Sears Tower. They just became the largest tenant of the Sears Tower. They're not even the largest tenant anymore, but the official name. So it's technically the Willis Tower. Tan building, just ahead of us here, right here. You're going to notice in the center of the building, short rectangle. On either side of that short rectangle, we have 22 stories. The back half of the building, which we really can't see all that well from the river, actually has 45 stories to it. This is our Opera House, made by Graham Anderson, Frozen White, 1929. Our Opera House cost $66 million to make. Acoustically, this building is perfect. You can sit in any seat of the entire Opera House, still be able to hear every breath, every sound perfectly. The reason why we have the building is because of Samuel Insull, one of the leading guys with Commonwealth Edison, the richest man in the city of Chicago at that time. He put $30 million of his own money up to have the Opera House built. And got 30 other guys to give about $1 million apiece, come up the rest of it. The reason he was able to get so many people to give him so much money, an Opera House is a rectangle in the middle. On either side of that rectangle, you have 22 stories of office space. The back half of the building has 45 stories of office space. Even if no one was going to see the show, they were still going to make a ton of money by renting out all that office space. The idea was that they were going to be the richest men in the world. Opera House opened September 1929. October 1829, Black Tuesday, the market crashes, the start of the Great Depression. Samuel Insull, richest man in the city of Chicago, reduced to absolutely nothing after this. Construction that we're passing on our right-hand side here was our General Growth building. It was a mid-century modern building that was here, and these really amazing stainless steel panels on the outside that undulated. They were like a wave. In order for Getch Partners to get the approval for the new 51-story office complex that will be going in here, they had to agree to incorporate those old stainless steel panels into the new design. So they haven't said how they're going to do it yet, so it'll be interesting to see how they're going to meld the old with the new. Bank of America, being one of the larger tenants in that new office complex, they're going to own over 75% of the building itself. Red Brick Building, off to your right, our Great Lakes Building. Not so much the building, the significance, but the location. This is where the Wigwam was constructed, which is a temporary structure to hold the 1860 Republican National Convention, where Abraham Lincoln was nominated for presidency, essentially came up the entire Civil War at that point. Next bridge that we're going under, this is Lake Street, so this one's a short one, so we want to watch our heads, those of you that are standing, especially in the front here as we're going underneath the bridge. On top of Lake Street, though, we have train tracks up there. This is the L, our elevated subway system around the city of Chicago. 800,000 people ride the L every weekday in the city. You'll follow those tracks off to your right-hand side. This is the one that's going to take you into the loop. All the trains get together in the loop. You can hop on any of the different lines. You can go anywhere around our entire city. Our green, curvy building, 333 Wacker. Everything about the design of this building is postmodernist contextualism. When Cole, Patterson, and Fox designed this building in 1983, they knew that loud train was going to be going past the bottom half of that building about every 5 minutes. No one is going to want to rent office space on the bottom half of this building to deal with that loud train going past your window. But typically, when you design a building, you put all the maintenance on top of the building. Air conditioner units, things like that, those goes on top. What they do with 333, they put all the maintenance at the bottom. That's why when we're looking at its base, we're seeing granite. That's its maintenance. That's windows on the office floors don't start off to about the 5th floor. Then they go up from there. Curve of the building reflects the curve of Wacker Drive. The green color of the building reflects the green color of our river. Other two sides of the building follow the grid plan for the city of Chicago. So they are maximizing the possible square footage that you can get at this particular point in the city. When that building was constructed, it won the most awards of any building here in Chicago. Anytime there's ever a vote as to what was most liked building, 333 won hands down by a landslide. Tan building just to the left of 333. There's 225 Wacker, American flag at the bottom. Tan building and the green building, same architects. The tan one was made 6 years later. We made this really modern green curvy building with a whole bunch of awards. Why not just call the green curvy building? That's the idea behind postmodernist contextualism. We're no longer on the corner of our intersection. Now we want to design a building that would fit in those 1920s, 1930s Art Deco style buildings on Wacker Drive. So one reflects the nature, the other reflects the other buildings that are around it. They're two different concepts. We got our postmodernist contextualism. Our Wells Street Bridge, this one's a short one, so we want to watch our heads as we're going underneath Wells. Because on the other side of our Wells Street Bridge, tan building off to your right. Notice just on the left side, little diamonds in between the windows. Well, the right side has those big bay windows that are coming out. This was called the Builders Building. The left side, those little diamonds in between the windows, was made in the 20s by Graham Anderson Probst and Wayne. Right side, those big bay windows, 1986 by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. So even though we're putting an addition on, we're adding modern features like bay windows, we still want the design to blend in with this environment. That's that postmodernist contextualism. The bridges that we've been going under, these are what are called bascule bridges. We invented this type of bridge, bascule, meaning seesaw in French. Two leaves, goes up in the center, counterweight that comes down on the other side. These bridges, along with our double-decker whacker drive off to your right, all the ornamentation, obelisks, planters, bridge towers, this was all part of Daniel Burnham's 1909 plan for the city of Chicago. He wanted the streets of Chicago to be in the same grandeur, same level, some of the most famous cities throughout Europe, specifically Paris. We're thinking the nickname, Paris on the Prairie after that. On our right-hand side here, we had a river walk here. Before we transformed it in this brand new river walk that we're passing by right now, problem with the river walk that's here before, anytime you got to a bridge, walk up a whole bunch of stairs, deal with the traffic, cross the street, then come back down. So then you had to keep going up, down, up, down. Every time you got to a bridge, no one wanted to do this. So the past few years, we're extending that river walk to go underneath the bridges. So all together, 6 sections is what we're passing on our right. These are all brand new. With that, you can now walk the entire expanse of the main branch of the Chicago River on the water, not have to deal with any traffic, any cars at all. As we're going through, you notice the areas between the bridges, those sections, they all look completely different. The one that we're passing by right now, no railings at all. You just plop right in the water. There's one specifically set up for the kayakers. They can hop in and out, be able to come and go as they please. The next one, just ahead of us here, probably the most popular of all the sections. That one has a winery on the inside. So the goal is to eventually get this open public access on all components of the river. Any new construction has to include it, and then the city's going to go through, we're going to fill in all the spaces that we have in between that. The next line that we're going to be looking at, we're going to go a little ways ahead of the boat. So in front of us, down a bit, just slightly to your right, a green building, got a gold top to it. This is the Carbide Carbon Building, made 1929 by the Burnham brothers. The design for that building would come from a party that's on New Year's, where they were drinking champagne. Oh, that green terracotta base had your champagne bottle with gold foil on the top. Building it was the Hard Rock Hotel. They gave it up back in December. It just reopened last month as St. Jane Hotel. Tan building to your right, really large rotunda in the center of the roof, 4 smaller on each of the corners. That's the Jewelers Building, made by Thebar and Fugard, 1926. The reason it gets the name the Jewelers Building is because at the time this building was constructed, there was an elevator shaft large enough for you to drive your car into. You just drove right in the building. Elevator would take your car up to the floor that you needed to go to. This attracts all the jewelers because if they ever need to unload any merchandise, you don't have to worry about anything happening from the street to the building. 1926, you're in the middle of the Prohibition. That big dome in the center of its roof used to be a club called the Stratosphere. This is where Al Capone used to hang out. So you have the most prolific mobster in the city of Chicago. All the jewelers all hanging out in the same building. Currently, that dome is the office space for one of our postmodernist architects, Helmer Gahn. Of all the postmodernist architects that we have here in Chicago, not one of them has office space in a postmodern building. They're all within the historical buildings throughout our city. Skinny white building off to our right hand side here. Really skinny tower from off its roof. That's the Mather Tower. But just to the left of that, all glass. So the London House at the top. Notice how the glass portion and the white are the exact same size. The original plan here, Mather Tower, was supposed to have a twin to its left. The first one was completed in 28. The Depression hits in 29. They never built its twin. That glass area that you're seeing, that was just filled in 3 years ago, connecting itself to a London Guaranteed accident building, which is off to its left-hand side, which has all been converted into an elite hotel. We're going to switch gears for just a moment. See one building off to our left here. So past our Wrigley building is a TN building, at the top of which looks like there's a Gothic cathedral. All the flying buttresses spires, get the American flag up there. That's going to be Tribute Tower.
Ну, это же мост, по которому сюда гуляем.
Tribute Tower, that's part of a contest as of 1922 to design the world's most beautiful office building. Howells and Hood are the winning architects, but they are competing against 263 entries from 23 different countries. Grand prize in 1922, $100,000. Our Gustavo Bridge that we're going under, this is the shortest of all the bridges on our tour, so make sure we're watching our heads as we're going underneath. We noticed that Tribute Tower is done in that neoclassical style. It's the last building to be built in that style in the city of Chicago. When they first announced the winning design of the contest, the building that we see today, many of the architects at that time were extremely upset with the chosen design. Louis Sullivan, he's very vocal about how much he disliked the Tribute Tower. Why are we putting a French Catholic Gothic cathedral on top of a newspaper in Chicago? This makes no sense at all. Chicago must be innovative, new way, new thinking. So even though this is the design that wins that contest, is actually the second place design that becomes more influential. That's the design that jumpstart the whole Art Deco movement, which is the architectural style that follows. Up to our right-hand side here, close to us, we're seeing this short brown box. And then just behind that short brown box, a really tall white building, continuous vertical lines, rancher corners. That's AM, made by Perkins and Will, 1973. And it's the third tallest building in the city of Chicago. At the time that building was constructed, the entire facade was made of Carrara marble. Same marble that Michelangelo used in making the Pietà. It quite factor in our lovely Chicago weather that we have. We go from very hot to very cold very quickly. What ended up happening? That marble actually started to crack and buckle and come off of the building. It became extremely dangerous. And removed the entire facade of marble, replaced the whole thing with granite. The initial cost to make the building, $120 million. To remove the marble and replace it with granite, $80 million. That's a big oops. Triangle, off to our right-hand side here is our Swiss Hotel by Harry Weiss. Harry Weiss, known for making triangles. We saw one of his triangles earlier, our Federal Correctional Facility. But by having a triangle at this point on the Chicago River, it doesn't matter what buildings go up on either side, they are never going to obstruct the views that this one has. 90% of the views from the Swiss Hotel are of water. Oh, to the river of the lake on the other side. Just to the right of the triangle, step back from the river just a little bit, this building has all these crazy undulating balconies coming off of it. That is Jeannie Gang's Aqua 2009. It's supposed to be like the waves are just continuing off of Lake Michigan. View from the river's nice, but if you're at the bottom of that building, you're looking straight up at all those balconies, it is breathtaking. Jeannie Gang, female architect, that's one of the taller buildings in the world right now by a female. She's about to outdo herself. See the construction off to your right? That's the start of Vista Tower, what's going to be the new third tallest building in Chicago by Jeannie Gang. Overall design of this building is kind of like a diamond. It comes out to a point and then back in, and then it ripples all the way down. When it's done, it'll almost look like three separate buildings too. The tallest one closest to us, and then the closer that we get to the lake, they start to terrace out from there. I mentioned at the start of our tour that Chicago had hosted that 1893 World's Fair. It's our Columbian Exposition, about 6 miles south of where we're at right now, where the Museum of Science and Industry currently is. But in addition to that World's Fair, Chicago also hosted the 1933 World's Fair. It's our century of progress on the lakefront that we traditionally think of today. So Grant Park, Museum Campus, Art Institute of Chicago, that's going to be the museum that's on Grant Park, the #1 graded museum in the world. So the 3 museums that we have on Museum Campus. The first to be constructed was the Field Museum. Marshall Field, going to the money to have the Natural History Museum constructed in 1921. It was actually one of his colleagues kind of giving him this push. You know, what's going to happen after you pass away? What's going to happen if your company goes under? No one is going to remember who you were. You put your name on a museum, you will go down in infamy. It's a little push the Marshall Field needed. In addition to the Field Museum, we also have our Shed Aquarium. John G. Shed was a protege of Marshall Field, had the aquarium constructed in 1930. It took 20 rail cars, 8 trips down to Key West to get enough water for all of our sea creatures that we have at our aquarium. And the last museum to be constructed, our Adler Planetarium. Max Adler, actually a senior committee member of Sears Roebuck, he also had the planetarium constructed in 1930. The lead host at 1933 World's Fair, all 3 of these museums are getting exposure for the very first time. That fair was so successful that they held it over a second year. We're in the middle of the Great Depression. What little money people had, they're coming to our lakefront and spending it at that World's Fair. Those are major merchants here in Chicago making our lakefront what it is today. Marshall Field, John G. Shed of Marshall Field, Max Adler of Sears Roebuck. There's one more of his name on a museum, that being Montgomery Ward. When the city was founded in 1833, we have put a clause in there that said that the lakefront will forever remain free and clear and open to the public. Extremely innovative idea, especially for 1833. And we always listen. Absolutely not. Railroads came in. They said they were more important. Factories starting up all along our lakefront. It wasn't until Montgomery Ward sued the city of Chicago 3 times for us to start cleaning up our lakefront. Because of him, we now have 22 continuous miles of public access on our lakefront. So it's our major merchants, and our city planner, Daniel Burnham, making our lakefront what it is today. At Navy Pier, off to our left-hand side here, one of what was supposed to be 5 piers, all part of Daniel Burnham's 1909 plan for the city of Chicago. Municipal Pier number 2, or the original name for Navy Pier, was the only pier that was ever actually constructed. We start off with number 2 and not number 1. Who knows? Chicago doesn't always make sense, right? Just like our 319-acre Grant Park on our front yard, 319-acre Grant Park. Not one spot in that entire 319-acre. Plenty of places to go and eat. Bubblegum shrimp, Harry Carey's, Billy Goat, Billy Goats, get your cheeseburgers. It was recently added in Giordano's as well, so now your deep dish pizza at Navy Pier. As we're also noticing, that brand new Ferris wheel. The world's first ever Ferris wheel was during the 1893 World's Fair that Chicago hosted. That Ferris wheel would hold anywhere from 40 to 60 people per car. Per car. That's like buses going around. So when we made Navy Pier into the tourist attraction site we're seeing today, we put up a Ferris wheel to commemorate that very first Ferris wheel. It was 1/3 the size, held 4 to 6 people per car. One time, it took about 7 minutes. The problem was you could only use it a handful of months over the summer. So 2 years ago, tore down that Ferris wheel, we unveiled our brand new one. Nice new feature, fully climate control. You want to go in the summer, air conditioning, come in December, see the snow, all the pretty Christmas lights in all the buildings, that Ferris wheel you'll be able to use all year round. A lot of nice new features. The one feature that I'm not sure that I'm fully on board with, fully equipped with TV screens and Wi-Fi and all these things that are really unnecessary for a Ferris wheel. The whole point to look out, what do you need your Wi-Fi for? It's only 12 minutes. The way in which our boat is traveling right now, this is the current flow of our Chicago River. But the natural flow of the river is going in the opposite direction or into Lake Michigan, which is behind you. Problem with that, during the 1800s, the city of Chicago was home to the world's largest stockyards. All the extras from those stockyards, along with all of our sewage, all of our
в этих
garbage,
башнях кто-то живет, ходит, там получается кондиционеры стоят.
This was
Это видно
flowing
служебное помещение.
into Lake Michigan,
Видишь, кондиционеры в окнах стоят.
source of drinking
Служебное
water.
помещение.
thousands of people
прикинь бы себе там квартиру, да?
every summer of typhoid, dysentery, cholera. We were literally poisoning and killing ourselves. The reversing
может, там
of the
квартира
Chicago
чья-то?
River
Смотри, там какие-то
is one
там
of the 7
цветы, там
engineering
какая-то
feats of
утварь.
the world. There was more material removed in the reversing of the Chicago River than there was in the making of the Panama Canal. But the way to do this was by the force of gravity. So to begin with, why we even have Lake Michigan? All it is the melting of a glacier after last
Они все
ice age.
ржавые, смотри, они разваливаются.
Glacier starts to melt. The ice then starts to float up
Вообще
against
арки
soil
Тавры, они
from
источены до такой
hills
степени,
called
ну
moraines.
Тавры.
At the end of the south branch of the Chicago River was one of these hills. It's a portage actually 20 miles in
Да, отсюда,
length.
конечно, другой вид
The
открывается
other
на
side
город.
of 20 miles is the Des Plaines
Трамп
River,
знал, где башню,
which leads
где
into
свое
the
здание
Illinois,
построить.
to the Mississippi, and eventually to the Gulf of Mexico.
Окаянно комплексе,
What
да?
we did, we dug out that 20-mile stretch. But when we did so, we dig out, drop it 6 feet. Dig out some more, drop it another 6 feet. Until we connected the south branch of the Chicago River with the Des Plaines River. Now, when we open up the dam at the end of that south branch, the natural pull of that water by the force of gravity is to go in the opposite direction. So instead of all that nasty river water going to Lake Michigan, we just sent it south of us. Too many people south of us were all that pleased with us. St. Louis actually sues the city of Chicago. We won. They were left with all of our garbage. That was here in 1900. In 1900, yes, it was just a shrink shot. All that garbage had gone off. Now, of course, been cleaned several times before it comes close to leaving our city. The fountain that we're passing on our right-hand side here, made to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the reversing of the Chicago River. In our summer months, every hour, on the hour, that fountain shoots out water across our entire main branch here. So the first 5 minutes of every hour, you hear this huge stream of water coming across. It's really funny when the kayakers don't know. Tan building off to our right hand side here, it's got these curving corners on the side that's closest to us. This is the Sheraton Chicago Hotel and Towers by Solomon Corwell Boone. It's completed in 1992. Sheraton Chicago, one of our larger hotels, they actually just got upgraded to the Sheraton Grand, home to the largest ballroom. It is over an acre in size.
Кстати, Чикаго бургер здесь,
The whole
смотри.
building we know is done that
Можно
TM
сходить будет.
terracotta,
Это как
but
раз
look
по той
just
улице,
on
где
the
мы обычно
bottom half
гуляем
of
с
the building.
тобой.
We also
Это
notice
же Мичиган,
those
видишь?
gold mulligans between the windows. That design feature is actually paying tribute to the original Carson Perry Scott building on Michigan Avenue, our Matt Mile. Sheraton, Chicago, nice and close to us on the river. The next building that I pointed out, set back from the river just a little bit, tan, continuous vertical lines going up and down on the building, white spire on the front, NBC Tower by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, 1989.
Это обсерватория какая-то наверху, я не пойму.
1989, that building was a lot older than 1989. This is a postmodernist building. Architectural component here is that the design of the building is meant to be a reinterpretation of the Rockefeller, which is the headquarters for NBC in New York City. So it's not meant to look exactly like the Rockefeller, but it definitely does give that feel. You also notice about halfway up in the building, those arms that are coming off has that open space in between. That's buttressing. The buttressing on NBC mimicking the buttressing off of Tribune Tower, which we just saw a moment ago. Next building off to your right, much, much shorter, and only on the side that's facing the river. Floor to ceiling, glass windows. This is the University of Chicago Bleacher Center by Lohan and Associates, completed in 1994. As we continue on down the river, you're going to notice the whole back side of this building, the whole west side, doesn't have any windows to it. If you work at the University of Chicago, you are going to have some great views of the river and all the buildings around you. If you're a student, kind of like a paint swatch, the effect that this gives
Девочка не зря пригинается, она что-то знает.
than it really is. Next building that we're looking at, we're going to go straight ahead of us, all glass, and those curvy corners, you see the setbacks get smaller.
Ощущение щиты, как для того машины ездят, да? А потому что на тебя эти все брызги грязно летят.
Trump Tower
Из-под
by
колес.
Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, 2009. The architect for this building, Adrian Smith. Same gentleman who's on the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is currently the tallest building in the world. It's twice as tall as our Trump Tower. Trump's going to be the second tallest building in the city of Chicago. Each one of those setbacks that we're looking at aligns with the historical buildings surrounding Trump. Shortest setback, exact same height as our Wrigley building. That tallest setback, the same height as IBM, which is the next building on to our right here, this black box. So what Adrian Smith is doing is he's giving these historical buildings the respect that they deserve. That's postmodernism. He's got no location first, then we design the building around the other buildings that are around them. Your typical Mies van der Rohe International Modernist black box skyscraper, IBM to your right, 1971. Now, vertical lines going up and down on the building, those are called I-beams. What makes a Mies building aesthetically pleasing is the proportions that he's using. It's the spacing between each of those I-beams and the height of the windows. More of a vertical orientation, drawing our eye up, and that's the style that Mies van der Rohe is teaching to all of his students at IIT. Did you guys always listen to your teachers? I know that my students do not always listen to me. We have a perfect example of this. One of his best students, Bertrand Goldberg, says he wants to do something completely different. And we're left with our corn cobs on the river, or Marina City, 1964. Very organic in design. This is one of the first residences downtown. The reason why that happened so late has to do with all the industry that Chicago still had at that point. No one wanted to live amongst all these factories. And a way to entice people to move to our city, what Bertrand Goldberg and Associates did, is he created this idea of a city within a city. Inside of that complex, got a bank, grocery store, dry cleaners, flower shop, bowling alley, movie theater, which is currently the House of Blues. There was even office space inside of that complex by the time it was constructed. The whole idea was if you lived and worked in Marina City, you would never have to go out and experience that industrial Chicago. Notice all the cars on the bottom half of the courthouse with the condos on the top. The owners of those cars did not park them. There's a professional valet on site parks all the cars for the building. None have ever come off on accident, but two on purpose for the filming of The Hunter with Steve McQueen. Excellent example of the very first architectural style that I mentioned, that Chicago school style. Red brick building just out of us to the right with a clock tower in the center. This is the Reed Murdoch building. It's built in 1914. This is that steel frame construction. All we're doing on top of that steel frame is we're covering it in this simple red brick facade. The bones of the building still coming through on the exterior. I want you guys to look at that clock tower. If you notice, that clock tower is not in the direct center of the building. When the Reed Murdoch building was constructed, that clock tower was in the direct center. The building was made in 1914, but the bridge that we're about to go under, which is LaSalle Street, was not expanded to go north of the river until 1926. So in order to make enough room for LaSalle Street to be able to head north, they had to cut off a portion of the Reed Murdoch building for it to fit. Really nice feature of that steel frame construction. You can add to the buildings, you can take away from them, and it doesn't affect their structural integrity. Originally, our Reed Murdoch building was a food storage warehouse. Now the home to Encyclopedia Britannica. Continuous vertical lines drawing your eye up. Once you do get to the top, little medallions, little relief sculpture, and we're seeing all those setbacks get smaller on itself. And we're just in front of the merchandise mart. We're seeing sculptural busts. We get the backs of our heads are all facing the building. These are all of our major merchants throughout the U.S. paying tribute to our merchandise mart, also nicknamed Pez Heads Hall of Fame. The building was actually commissioned by the Marshall Fields Company in 1931. It cost them $33 million to make that building in 1931. We're talking about the start of the Great Depression. Marshall Fields ends up having to sell the building about 6 years later to the Kennedy family for $12 million, taking a significant loss. Kennedy family, who sold that building in the 90s for $626 million. Made a pretty good investment on hanging on to our merchandise mart. That building is 4.25 million square feet. The only office building to surpass the size of our merchandise mart was the Pentagon. They actually had their own postal code until just recently. They now have to share with one other building. Nice new feature when we get at our merchandise mart. September 29th is the big unveiling. We're putting projectors in on the opposite side of the river. That's going to display artwork of the merchandise mart as the backdrop to all that artwork. What's called Art on the Marks. Property off to your right, jutting out into our intersection, was called Wolf Point. Kennedy's, they sold off the merchandise mart. They still own Wolf Point. What's happening here? 3 brand new towers that are going to be going up. First of which was just finished 2 years ago. See that skinny glass building off to your right? That's an apartment complex made by PKL called Wolf Point West. This is the shortest of the 3 towers that will be going in here at Wolf Point. The one in the center will be almost twice as tall as what we're seeing right now. What's behind the skinny glass building is a concrete building. Look about halfway up. See that row, that's solid concrete, no windows? That was the case not only for that portion, but for everything beneath that when the building was initially constructed. No windows on the entire bottom half of this building, tallest basement in the city of Chicago until just recently. Reason being, this was originally the apparel mart made by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill in 1977. 3,000 apparel retailers had their showrooms here. Don't have any windows because there's sunlight coming in could potentially damage the clothing. It wasn't until later where they broke off all that concrete and windows the entire bottom half of the building. The top portion of the building with those smaller windows, that's the Holiday Inn. That's always been the Holiday Inn. They've always had those smaller windows at the top. Those really nice views that the Holiday Inn used to have, soon going to be obstructed by those 3 new towers. Bridge we're going under in its upright position, our Kinsey Street Railroad Bridge, constructed in 1907. At the time that it was constructed, fully functional, this is where the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune newspapers would travel across twice a day to be able to go out to the suburbs of Chicago. It is now a historical landmark, and it will forever stay in that upright position. The next bridge we're going under is our Kinsey Street Traffic Bridge. This one's a low one, so watch your heads as we're going underneath. Our Kinsey Street Traffic Bridge, though, is famous in the city of Chicago for 2 different reasons. The first being that this was the site for the 1992 Chicago flood. Well, underneath our downtown heart of Chicago, we have a tunnel system. And it had train cars just bring mail back and forth into the basements of all the buildings. We're doing some construction work on our Kinsey Street Traffic Bridge. One of the workers accidentally punctured a hole into this underground tunnel system. This then caused the water from our river to start flooding into the basements of almost all of the buildings downtown. Our entire downtown had to be completely evacuated for 3 days. It's estimated over $2 billion was lost in the course of the 3 days that the city was shut down. When it first happened, complete act of desperation. They were doing anything and everything they could to plug up that hole. They were throwing mattresses down, trying to stop that water from going into the basements. When they finally stopped it, the merchandise mart had to clean up 40 feet of water throughout its entire basement. Second reason that that particular traffic bridge is famous in the city of Chicago, because that is the same bridge that the driver of the Dave Matthews Van Tour bus decided that he was going to empty the lavatory into the Chicago River. But instead of ending up in the river, ended up on a tour boat, just like ours. Alright, on our north branch of the Chicago River, entire area we're going to be seeing off to your right hand side was currently called the River North. This is one of the more desirable places to live throughout the city of Chicago. This isn't always the case though. The nickname for this part of the city back in the day was Little Hell. Reason being is this is the area of the city that was most prominent with industries. You have all these factories here. All the smoke and smog that came from the factories, it left a dark cloud over this entire area of the city. Comes factories and comes warehouses. All of the warehouses that were here when this was originally Little Hell, not one of them has been torn down. They've all been converted into either condos, restaurants, and art galleries. We're digging an old warehouse made into a condo because it was originally a warehouse. It had a tower ceiling. These condos have anywhere from 13 to 16-foot tall ceilings. Last building to your right, big diagonal trusses on the side that's closest to us. Erie Park by Lucian Lagrange Architects, made in 2002, oftentimes given the nickname Little John, mimicking the same diagonal X braces that are on our John Hancock building. Well, the two towers that we have here in Chicago that have observation decks you get to go and look out of, Sears Tower and the John Hancock. Sears Tower added on those 4 glass balconies to their observation deck about 10-15 years ago. So you pay them, they don't pay you. You pay them, go and stand up on these glass balconies and look the 103 floors beneath you. John Hancock, trying to compete with these 4 glass balconies, 3 years ago added the tilts. 8 people line up on a glass balcony that then tilts you forward to give you the feeling like you're falling off of the John Hancock. So you go down and then you come back up. When you're done, they give you a sticker so everyone knows how much of an idiot you were. Aeon, the building that we saw earlier, all the marble had to come off and be replaced with granite. They're in the process right now of adding an observation deck to their building. Problem with Aeon though, the elevators, they're in the center of the building. Those are already at max capacity for all the tenants in the building. The only way to get people to the top of the building is to add an elevator to the outside of the building. They just announced the design for this at the beginning of the summer. It is all glass. You'll see everything the entire way that you're heading up towards the top. Next 3 buildings I'm going to point out, all parts of the Montgomery Ward's company. Montgomery Ward being the inventor of the mail order catalog. His dream, his vision wants to give everyone the opportunity, doesn't matter where you live, not only have city product, but have city quality shipped directly to your homes. In order for a company to work, you got to have warehouses to be able to store all these goods. 10 buildings to your right, they have the balconies hanging off them. That's our first Montgomery Ward's building that we're looking at. But if you look out of their balconies, look at how tiny their doors look on their balconies. Yeah. They're not tiny doors, those are normal sized doors. That's just how tall those ceilings are. That's your 16-foot tall condo space. Exposed brick, all the big wood timbers on the inside. Our next Montgomery Ward's warehouse building, continuous red brick horizontal fans that are spanning the entire length of the building. This was done in 1908. So instead of focusing on how tall the building is, what I want you to look at here is just how long and massive this warehouse building is. Still huge. That horizontal focus is what's called prairie style. Frank Lloyd Wright, one of the key architects that really reinforced the prairie style. He believed that the buildings that we're creating should reflect the environment that we're in. We live on a flat horizontal prairie here in Chicago. That should be the focus instead of the height of the building. A little ahead of its time for that postmodernist concept. First thing a Montgomery Ward's warehouse employee would do when they went to work every day, they'd put on the roller skates. They'd then be given a list of items that people ordered, and they would roller skate back and forth to be able to get all the products. This is the only way to get it efficiently. The building's way too big in size for the way. I was giving a tour a few summers ago. Had an Amazon warehouse employee on the tour. First thing she did when she went to work every day, she put on roller skates. Amazon and Montgomery Ward's is the same concept, just didn't have the internet at the time Montgomery Ward's was going to start it. He had the catalogs. Oftentimes give the nickname the wish books for being little. So we're going to Sienna to get me for Christmas. Area that we're turning around at was called Goose Island, only island on the Chicago River. Used to be home to our Chicago brewery, 312, our Chicago beer, 312 being the area code for the city of Chicago. So we were really creative. We were coming up with a name for our beer. A lot of effort to get that one. Notice the industry, not only on Goose Island, but if we were to continue heading down our North Branch here, I'm going to talk about that industry in just a moment. But as we are turning around, you guys are getting a really good glimpse of the statue. It's on the front of that first Montgomery Ward's building that we're looking at. See that green figure just out of his left? This is the spirit of progress, pointing or leading the way for commerce. That statue is actually the replacement statue. The original statue that they put on the front of that building was of a nude female figure. Montgomery Ward being a family man, so I'm going to take her down, put some clothes on her. So our replacement statue really accentuating the fact that she has clothes on. See all that drapery flapping in the wind behind her? We want no question as to whether or not she's clothed. The original statue was never destroyed. They just moved it to the Art Institute of Chicago. Just behind that green statue, to your left, the building has concrete corners and blue glass in between those corners. This is the Montgomery Ward's office building, 1972. By Minoru Yamasaki, same gentleman who's on the Twin Towers for New York. Typically, when you design a building, you normally put all the elevator shafts in the center of the building. What they do with the Montgomery Ward's office building, put the elevator shafts on the four corners of the building. And that's why we're getting that concrete on the corners and that blue glass office space just wrap around. What Montgomery Ward is doing, kind of helping out the egos of all their employees. You never had to worry about anyone being jealous of someone else having a corner office. No one gets corner office in the entire building. That's where the elevators are. Close up of our statue now. All three of our Montgomery Ward buildings all been converted. The one with the concrete corners and the one with the balconies there, both those are condos. We'll have a continuous red brick fans, that's offices, that's where Group Buy has its offices. A couple other smaller companies are in there as well. Red brick building off to our right hand side here. What's called Freedom Center by Tang & Associates, made in 1982. This is the printing press for our Chicago Tribune. We have two newspapers here in Chicago. Sun-Times also moved all of their printing to this building back in 2011. The name for the building, Freedom Center, actually came from a vote from all the employees. Freedom of the Press was the name that won. Well, as we turned around at Goose Island, saw that industry, the zoning for this entire area of the city is industrial and manufacturing. Or at least it was industrial and manufacturing. May 8th of last year, the City of Chicago came through and they changed the zoning to now be residential and commercial. All that industry that we just saw, that's all going to disappear. Make way for brand new residences all along our north branch. The area that was north of Chicago Avenue, where we were turning around at, that portion, that's already been sold. Yatch Partners, we'll see a building by them in just a moment here. They've already designed a tall office complex that'll be going in there, at the base of which you'll have this massive park, so lots of public access around the building. Underneath all of that, underground, will be a parking garage with enough space for over 500 vehicles to be able to fit. This is what's called 700 at the district. They've already been approved, permits are pulled, they're going to be starting construction any day now. Freedom Center, though, other than this massive parking lot that they own off to our right-hand side, this portion hasn't been sold yet. But we know in the near future that this is going to be coming up for sale. Tribune right now, they're selling off all of their real estate. Tribune Tower that we saw earlier, looked like there was a Gothic cathedral on the top of it. They've already sold that building off. That has always been offices. Right now, it is in the process of being renovated to be condos and residences all on the inside. In addition to renovating the older neoclassical building, they will be adding a tower to its northeast corner as well, that if approved, will be the new second tallest building in the city of Chicago. Really safe, all glass building going on its northeast side. So right now, we have all of these different architects that are coming up with different concepts of what they envision this area to be transformed into. So not saying that this is the finalized one just yet, because we're not there yet, but Yatch Partners' concept includes 19 new buildings that'll be going in here. About half of them will be residences, the other half will be offices. The area that we turned around at, that was the southern portion of Goose Island. On the northern portion of Goose Island is Sterling Bay, has just announced that they are in the process of renovating that whole area.
Центром украинскую деревню.
Мы
проходили Goose Island, там еще парковка Honda была большая.
Off to your left-hand
Мы
side
проходили.
here, on the
Это отдельный остров
outside of the
такой.
building, blue building, it says East Bank Club on it. This is actually a gym for 9,000 of Chicago's elites. The East Bank Club was built in the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s where we actually started to clean up and take advantage of what an amazing amenity the river actually is. Before the 90s, the river was just an eyesore. Dirty, smell, no one wanted to focus on the river. So because the East Bank Club was built in the 80s and it was for elite, the building actually faces its back to the river. Main focus for this building, it's on the other side. Look, very few windows on a riverside here. They don't even want to look at the river. Now that you're transforming this amazing amenity, I'm sure they're regretting having that opposite positioning. Kinsey's a short one here, so watch our heads from those umbrellas as we're going underneath. Because on the other side of our Kinsey Street traffic bridge off to your right are River Cottages by Harry Weeks, 1988. Everyone else making black boxes. Again, Harry Weeks wants to make triangles. These ones very nautical themes. Spiral staircases, circular windows, that big slope of the roof. It's supposed to be like a sail on a sailboat.
Интересно,
Pink
Наталья,
building
да?
just beyond that little stars between the windows and the balconies, that's the Fulton House, made by Frank Abbott, 1908. Originally, this building was the North American Cold Storage Warehouse. When they want to convert the building from the North American Cold Storage Warehouse to the Fulton House, they had to wait 2 years for the building to thaw before they could start any construction. The walls in that building are 2 feet thick and they were insulated with horsehair. Next, going to your right, slight curve to it, blue glass windows as you're moving up, Riverbend Condominiums by DiStefano Partners, made in 2002, postmodernist building. In order to get a feel for our contextual component here, you actually have to look on the complete opposite side of our intersection. So just out of us to the left of the green curvy building, you're the concave and the convex of the 2 buildings as like they're puzzle pieces, just on opposite sides of our intersection, fitting into one another. Last building to your right, big arch at the base of the building, kind of a combination of the last two. That's the Picard-Chilton building called River Point. Picard-Chilton known for making LEED certified buildings, only architectural firm to actually have a platinum certification in the city of Chicago. So the highest environmentally friendly building they can have. Santiago Calatrava, Spanish architect who was supposed to do our Chicago Spire, has announced that he's designed a sculpture that's going to the center, that big arch at the bottom. It will be 48 feet tall, stainless steel, painted bright red, inspired by Alexander Calder's Flamingo, which is in our Daily Plaza. We're going to start heading on our south branch of the Chicago River now, that Lake Street Bridge. That's our last of our low bridges that we got on our tour, so watch your heads underneath. But just to the right of Lake Street, we have a glass building, really awesome V, as it's cantilevered out from the bottom. That's 150 North Riverside by Gotch Partners. Well, the reason why we're getting that V at the bottom has to do with the fact that this building, along with the rest of the buildings that we're going to see on the right-hand side of the river, all built on what's called air rights. Underneath these buildings is Union Train Station. But if you want to have a building here, that's fine. You cannot disrupt the train station underneath that built on top of the train station. So here, they're just trying to avoid the tracks altogether. It's like a popsicle. They're sticking in the middle, overhang as you're going up. All buildings are going to be affected by the winds that hit the building. In order to reduce the amount that this building sways back and forth, actually massive tanks of water at the top of the building. But when the wind hits it, the water actually acts as a counterbalance, so you don't get as much of that movement back and forth. Blue glass building off to your right, Boeing World Headquarters. Originally, the Morton International Salt Building, made by Perkins and Will in 1990. Notice here, 2 very different heights. Northern portion building, really tall tower that's shooting up, but the whole southern portion building much shorter in comparison. This again has to do with the fact that we are on top of Union Train Station. Specifically, underneath the shorter portion of the Boeing building is the switch point. Well, that's where the trains are going off in all their different directions, going out throughout the entire city. You can't have any structural support that's going down that gets in the way of this. The way the shorter portion of our Boeing building is actually being held up by the top of the building. Think of it like a bridge. You get your structural support from above. The building literally just hangs from underneath that. 10 building off to your right. See how this one's not as close to us, pushed back from the river just a little bit? The only 2 elements of this building that do extend all the way out were the 2 entrances that we're seeing on either side. That's our Chicago Daily News building, built by Howard Rutt in 1929. In 1929, they didn't know how to build on top of the train station, and that's why we're getting that setback the very first time we get a plaza on our riverside. Reason for the 2 entrances on either side, it's supposed to look like a sphinx. It's because the building was designed right after Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb. There's huge interest in ancient Egyptian art at the time. When you get closer to the building, a lot of smaller sculptural detail gives a whole history, not only of printing, but of writing as well, all of which is done in your typical Egyptian stylistic convention. Next building's off to your right will actually get the opening for Union Train Station, so you'll be able to see all the Metro, Amtrak lines that are passing through underneath. The next 4 buildings that we're going to be looking at, 1960s, 70s to 80s building design. So to your right, two black boxes, almost identical. Gateway Center 1, Gateway Center 2, 1965, 1968, both buildings done by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, the largest architectural firm at the time that they're constructed. You notice here, these look very similar. That Mies van der Rohe building that we saw earlier, IBM, the black box using that steel I-beams. But these ones don't look as nice as Mies van der Rohe's. That's because here we have vertical I-beams design. White building off to your right, Gateway Center 3, also done by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, 1973. Only difference from the 60s to the 70s is the material that we're using for that outer facade. So instead of steel I-beam, the inside of the building. This is what's called a cantilever construction. Well, my arm is cantilever. Hold up my arm, it's on the other side. Hold up, on my arm. That's the inside of this building is constructed. Concrete core in the center. From that concrete core are concrete cantilever floors that hang away. What this allows for, now we can vary the lengths of these floors with these really elegant curves on our outside walls. That's what we're seeing. This curved wall is facing us. That curved wall is not structural at all. Those are just glass windows that are hanging there. So it's called a curtain wall. Their only function, keep the cold out in the winter, the warm in, be the opposite in the summer. The building itself isn't all that aesthetically pleasing, but because they've used such a reflective glass, you get the play of all the other buildings around it, which makes that building kind of a nice building to look at. Tan building to your right, most dignified building on the entire Chicago River. This is our former post office, made by Graham Anderson Probes and White. First portion was done in 1922, second half was completed in 1933. Well, in addition to using that Art Deco design, what Graham Anderson Probes and White have also incorporated here, same concept, ancient Greek shoes when they were making the Parthenon, that idea of the golden mean. So proportionally, this building is perfect. Each one of the towers in relation to the windows, it is absolutely gorgeous. I said former post office. That building has been vacant for the past 20 years.
Получается, тюрьма до здания уже.
Still got to pay taxes
Или какой, я не понял.
on the building. So in a way to recoup some of that
Какой
money
именно?
that
Вот это
we were
впереди?
losing, oftentimes the former post office
Там большие окна.
not selling major films done here in Chicago. So films including Batman: The Dark Knight, Transformers, both films at that location. In 2009, City of Chicago held the building up for auction. A man by the name of Bill Davies purchased it. And he came out with these really elaborate plans. I said, what do you want to transform the building into? But his plans were so big, he could never get a thing to agree on the financing. So he ends up putting the building up for sale. 2 years ago, our former post office was finally sold. 601W, our new architectural firm on the development, what they're hoping to transform the building into is actually offices. Some of the enticing features for these companies to move their office space to our former post office: ceiling height on all the floors, 18-foot tall ceilings. The whole roof of the building is going to be made into a park with miniature golf.
Приехали.
Restaurants on the inside, bars, a fitness center for all our employees. But why do we have such a monumental post office here in Chicago? We were the mail order catalog center of the world. Montgomery Ward, Sears Roebuck. Our former post office was home to 12,000 buildings we don't know. What we do know about what they're calling the 78. The reason the 62 acres, they're calling it the 78. The reason being, currently in our downtown part of Chicago, we have 77 districts. They're saying that by the time they're done developing this property, it's so big that it will be the new 78th district. So they're very ambitious in that title. At the beginning of the summer, they did file for a permit on the 78th. That permit is asking for at least 10,000 residences to be going in here. And that's just half of it. That's only the residences. Offices will be maybe